fan we make.
Surely you should fix like the whole cable.
We ready to go?
But like, there's loose cable. You can make it flat.
Oh, you want that? Let's go. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I want. Cool.
The trip hazard, although it's black and the ground's black, so the trip hazard is quite high if anyone actually walks past it. That's off one of those trees. We're live, because I continuously.
Here's a free stick.
That's dramatic.
Wow.
Yeah, we managed to get one thing working, sir. You guys had audio?
Oh no. Yeah, no, we do have audio.
Oh, no, they're not getting audio.
That's right, they get to do Alrighty. Grab us. Cheers.
Can you play something real quick just for them?
Yep.
Yeah, grab a chair or a cushion or a beanbag. Or a couch.
It should be moving.
That's fun.
You ruined it, Angus! You ruined it!
Moves the cable very slightly.
If I touch it, it dies.
Yes, but don't touch it.
That's like that's just like the projector power.
Like, it's already probably on like 25%.
But that's okay.
No, it's not even on.
It's too bright, I'm blind. Would you
That's
like
a
to
pity.
switch
No,
lights?
It's like 5%.
He said it was some weak like this. Just blinding bite.
That does
I
matter.
have blinded for us. Okay. Don't worry about it.
Here we go.
Oh, it's done?
Yep.
Okay. You guys are an adventure party. And you spent a great deal of time in these kind of, looks like a faint jungle. Not quite in the thick of it yet. But the journey is definitely taking a toll. You guys are heading towards the town of Tomorrow, which is a town built in between these two large rocky cliff faces, essentially. The journey is taking such a toll on you that in fact you're all at one point of exhaustion. The cart that you are currently on, which is being drawn by a single horse, is very baffled, and you can already tell that one of the wheels of the cart is about to come off its axle. It takes a little bit of time from this point, perhaps another hour, where you begin to come across the town itself. You originally see, before you see the town itself, the trees themselves cut away and burned in some places, as there are a series of stumps that appear to almost create this kind of dead zone between the jungle and the town itself. The town itself, by the way, I will mention, it is absolutely pouring down with rain, and it is getting towards the evening hours. The town itself, as I said earlier, sits between two jagged cliff faces, and on the other side of the town itself, what is known as the Tamora Trench, which is a vast jungle, much denser than the one we're currently in. You can see in the kind of evening haze ahead of you these dark silhouettes of squat buildings with faint sources of light that kind of desperately try to creep over the parapets of the town walls. The town walls themselves are actually quite meager fortifications. They're mainly just a series of logs sticking straight up into the air with sharp points. Could everybody make a perception check? Yes. With disadvantage, by the way, because you already skills.
Also,
9.
Calvin, you notice as you're coming across the town walls themselves, there are a series of jagged scratch marks in the logs themselves, and in some places they've kind of been ripped away. You can see leather bindings of almost erected new logs, and it definitely seems like this gate itself has taken some damage. But seeing the town itself, you guys are all excited for the prospect of maybe a nice evening's rest off the road for once. You're approaching the town.
Yes, you guys, I will agree for that. But I would like to be doing. Does it look, can I see any people?
With the perception roll you rolled earlier, you can see beyond the logs themselves there may be some sort of raised platform, and you can very faintly make out the silhouettes of a number of guard figures patrolling the top of the wall. There is two guard-looking figures at the gate, which is directly ahead of you on the road, that are currently standing watch, not in front of the gate, but behind the gates. In the pouring rain, as you guys push through, approaching the town, you hear one of the guards above the gate just quickly call out to you in kind of sharp tones. Says, "Halt, travelers! No one is permitted inside the gates until tomorrow tonight. We dare not open the gates."
How come?
We've been beset for the past 5 or 6 days by some sort of monstrosities coming out of the trench. They've looped around a couple times to attack this side as well. I'm not sure if we would want to let anybody in at this time, if they might be nearby.
I would like to persuade them to open the gate.
How do you persuade them? What are you saying?
I will roll first, or
What are you saying?
I say. Whether that's it.
Yeah, you can.
Good traveler. Good job. We are travelers on the road to Tamora, and we wish to be let in. We know it may be an inconvenience, but we are weary, we are exhausted, we feel extremely tired, and we would like a day of rest just for ourselves, if you would be so kind.
Make a perception check. Sorry, persuasion check with this spot. 13. The guard himself looks at you. You can't quite make out the guard's appearance. So you can mainly just see the silhouette. But you get from that silhouette what addresses back to is, "I'm afraid not, sir. I don't really want to open this gate. You don't understand. They've been stalking just the jungles around us for a while now. That's why we had to cut back the trees." And at that point, you see, kind of turns away from you, and you all hear kind of a series of mumblings behind the gate itself. A few raised voices for a second before a second figure pops up next to the guard which you had previously seen, and he cries out to all of you, "Wait! Let them in. We are in desperate need. Judging by your weary expressions, I see you definitely need some aid as well, and we'd be happy to provide you with room and board if you could help us end this threat."
That sounds agreeable.
Yes. The attacks, they've been ruthless. I'm not sure how much we can hold out any longer. They've come over the wall several times now, and at this point, what is everybody's passive perception? In fact, all of you hear from behind you a series of kind of scrapes and rustles, and it kind of your hairs on your neck make you stand up. You can feel the rain itself begins to take on a slight acidic tone. You hear low grumbles coming from behind you and slightly to the left.
Okay, I will ready my short bow.
Before you turn, you hear the guard at the top of the gate cry out, "They've circled around the town again! Defend us!" And at this point, you see two kind of hunched over figures emerging from What was it? That, what did that do? See that? No, I didn't. You see emerging from the tree line that you had previously came from, two green scaled, almost ape-like figures standing that would have, if they weren't hunched over, would stand probably around about 8 to 9 feet tall. They have these kind of elongated, muscular front arms, but in place of hands, they kind of have these almost bony appendages that resemble more like mallets or maces. And both of them begin to rush towards you. I need everybody to roll initiative. Yes, disadvantage is an ability check.
I got a nat 1, so 0.
1 second.
We also got nothing.
Yeah, cool. I have +5 to my initiative.
1 second. Okay, 25 to 20. Anybody? No? 15 to 20, sorry?
We all got the
10
same
to 15. Oh, 10. What did you all get?
We all got 11.
And he got a 1.
Oh, lovely! Okay.
we're all gonna
Who
die.
has- What is everybody's dexterity score?
20.
20?
16.
16? 16. You two just choose who goes first.
9.
You got lost twice.
Okay. Thomas, then, which one of you two are going first?
You go first.
Okay. Alright, I would like, if you guys could proceed to the next slide, and everybody proceed to battle map. Slide 54. I need you to recolor one of the 4 figures there, which will represent yourself.
I think something's happened. It's on the flat. Or is that?
No, that's
Oh.
Okay. Everybody's recolored.
No, that's literally the same photo back. Alright, what do you want? You do what?
Okay. Everybody sorted that out?
Yes.
Alright. So around, it's their turn.
Oh, God.
You watch as one of them begins to circle around almost towards the end, the back of the road where you previously were, almost blocking off the clearest entrance away from the town. And Kevin, which color are you? Light green. You watch as a line of almost this misty, acidic spit fires towards both you and Yellow. Yellow. Okay, I need both of you to make Constitution saving throws.
You don't even roll it, it's just like off of it. Yeah. 24.
24, you succeed. 5. A straight-faced attack, deal half damage. Okay. The next one is going to rush blindly towards you and is going to unleash a multi-attack. This is going to be... Yeah, what?
It's not up to on the right. Back in the-
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think if you're in slideshow mode, it doesn't update.
That's not. Okay. Both rolls. Okay. The attack against Fletcher is a 22, and the attack against Buchanan is also a 22.
It misses.
Lovely.
His glances harmlessly across my arm. Yeah, he can fail what he says he wants as long as it comes.
You take 13 points of bludgeoning damage,
That's okay. Kind of something shield.
and
And you're out.
I need you to make a wisdom save. 17, you succeed. Alright, that is the end of their turn. Thomas, you're up.
Yes, I have drawn my rapier and quickly begin to run away.
Okay, you run away. Valiantly. Which color are you?
Oh, that's one of my flaws.
Which color are you exactly?
Black.
Okay.
It's one of my flaws.
Well, by the way, I will point out the black line below you is roughly where the town hall is.
Right, so I'm gonna run off in this direction.
Okay. You run through the underbrush.
Oh, he's hiding.
And are you going to hide or?
No, I'm gonna draw my short bow.
Are you going to
and
draw?
fire from a distance.
Okay, against which one?
The one that's currently attacking Kenneth.
Okay, make an attack roll.
Do I have to disadvantage?
You do not.
8. I mean, sorry, 9.
9 misses. Alright. Is that the end of your turn?
Yes.
Kenneth, you're up.
Oh, cool.
You see kind of this hulking scaled figure in front of you, kind of raise once again these mallets to attempt to strike you once again. What are you doing? You're gonna what's
Actually.
You're green, you're ranger? Which one? Which one? Oh, paladin.
Oh, so it's Rosie.
Yeah, it's doing that.
I'll take this one.
Yes, you may.
I'll take this one.
Take attack against this strange serpentine creature, but like an ape. Snake. It's a snake. Alright, they're now known as snakes. 22. 22 is definitely going to hit with all damage. 16. 16 damage? Nice.
Yeah, you can take another attack.
I'll take another attack. 22.
22, it's going to hit.
I was gonna take
7.
7 damage. Significantly less than 6. Alright. That's the end of your turn, Kenneth? Alright, Calvin, you're up.
Alright.
Just cast fireballs.
Alright. I'm gonna just like extend the wings up about 30 or so feet.
So you watch as your kind of almost bird-like companion extends their wings out in like a full flex and takes flight.
Yep. And actually, I'm gonna go about 15 feet up.
Okay.
I'm just gonna extend my hand, just burning hands right on the one right in front of me.
The one right in front of you? Okay, that's a dexterity.
Dexterity saving throw. Yeah, first one.
That's definitely a fail with a 9.
Alright. You know, I can take fire, and then I can 11 points of fire damage.
Okay.
So I can
You watch as this torrent of fire just erupts, coating this serpentine creature. As the fire subsides, you see it looks back up at you, seemingly shrugging off most of what you managed to do. But definitely seems that.
Alright. I'm gonna go up about another like 15 feet or so.
Yep.
I'm gonna back off a bit. So up there. So about 30 feet up and just
Okay.
backing off a bit.
Cool, and that's the end of your turn.
Yeah.
Alright, Fletcher, you're up. Shield of Faith, okay, your armor is up. Yep.
What now? 25?
25.
25.
25. Okay.
And I'm going to move around this way. It can take an opportunity attack against me.
It is going to attempt to grapple you.
Okay. Tested athletics.
Yeah.
At disadvantage.
Yes.
Get the same roll twice.
16 on there then. So you watch as you attempt to run away, the creature itself sees you running and kind of extends out with one arm. You see it almost begins to strangely constrict and lose form for a second, as almost like the bones turn to jelly in its arm as it wraps around you and pulls you.
So what I think is where I was.
Yep, your speed is 0.
The flames of fate of the bane of the unholy. As the box, like the faceplate of the helmet slides apart diagonally. Fire breath.
Fire rock weapon? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, very safe. Gotcha.
Also sort of sneaky as well.
It's gonna fail again with an 11.
Okay. 10.
10 points of what damage?
5.
Okay. Once again, you watch as this torrent of flame kind of engulfs the creature for a time before it looks back at you, seemingly not really taking much damage. Alright, is that the end of your turn, Fletcher?
Yep.
Alright, it's back up to them. The one that is further out on the periphery sees one of the individuals kind of running away and thinks, oh good, a straggler, and is going to attempt to sprint towards you and unleash a torrent of 2 attacks. Oh, you have to just do that, love them. That's so good.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it.
First one is a 18 to hit.
Yes.
Second one is more than that, 21 to hit.
Yeah. 21, yeah, but
Yeah. You take 18 points of bludgeoning damage. I rolled almost max. As you are brutally bludgeoned by these mallet-like fists, and it seems thoroughly gleeful as it starts slamming into you. That is the end of that one's turn. The one in front of you guys is looking decidedly less gleeful on account of the fact that he's getting absolutely wailed on. And you watch as its throat begins to almost like swell up for a second before its kind of almost serpentine head kind of lifts up and it releases a bellowing screech. I need everybody to make a wisdom save.
18.
18 succeeds.
16.
Succeeds. Succeeds. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
7.
Something happens.
Kenneth dies.
I'll take all the damage.
Yeah, you take 8 points of psychic damage, and you are frightened. Alright, that is the end of yeah, that is the end of the turn. Thomas, you're up.
Okay, I'm gonna drop my short bow
Yes.
and draw my rapier,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to attack it in the face.
Alright, so you take a slash at this decidedly
No,
hideous
no, no,
looking creature.
no, slash.
A stab, you thrust
Yes, because
towards this
rapier is
hideous
going
looking
to-
creature. Alright, make an attack. 14? That's unfortunate.
I would like to take a bonus action,
Yes.
and I'd like to mist step away.
This is step.
Yeah.
Okay.
To where? Who's orange? I'm in the air.
He's in the air, 30 feet in the
You
air.
can go. Yeah, I'd like to go directly under.
Okay. So you watch as the kind of the mist, this low-hanging mist here,
I wanna
engulfs you
just
for a
step
second,
on top of it.
and you disappear, reappearing somewhere else. Alright. That is the end of your turn.
Yes, that's it.
Kenneth, you're up.
Sorry.
I'll take. Actually, I'll take.
You're rage. Okay. Alright, the barbarian is raging. Take 2 attacks. Could be just.
I know. I should just teleport you.
14 for the first strike. Nice. You watch as you cleave apart the other arm that isn't holding Fletcher, as it just kind of splits in two and sloshes onto the ground. You can already see kind of semblances of a new arm beginning to reform rapidly, but you certainly wounded it.
I take my second.
16 hits, yes.
$20.
20 damage. This thing is looking very, very rough. As you bring the axe kind of straight into its, almost like its chest region, but it's weird. This creature itself begins to almost like shift and mold every time that you go to strike it, as if its bones almost turn to jelly and then re-solidify. But you strike at what appears to be the center of the creature, and it does a significant amount of damage. It's looking good. Alright, Cal, you're up.
Seeing this thing is near dead, I'm going to once again just like reach up my hand towards it, and I'm going to cast Hold the Dead.
Hold the dead.
And it needs to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw. Is it very good at this? It's very much not. Good to know. 5.
Yep, that doesn't seem good. 16 points of necrotic damage.
Okay. How do you want to kill it?
Just like, just these red and like black flames, just like engulf the just the arms of it, just the whole thing.
You guys all hear this kind of cacophony of bells for a second before these almost like black-red flames just wreath it, and they completely encircle it, and this thing is just burned to ash. And that is the end of that creature. That's the end of it.
Which creature is that?
That was the one attacking Kenneth and Fletcher.
Damn it. Okay. So
Alright.
I'm still gonna die.
That is the end. That. Fletcher, you're up.
Can you come protect me?
By the way, I have named these things snakes from now on. Perfect. Henceforth, they'll be these snakes.
Okay.
I don't believe that is within the room, is it?
Yeah, that should be.
I think it might be like.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm on the wrong squares. It is
Okay.
Yeah. So this.
And I am just going to try and deck it.
Okay. You
My
gotta deck
thunder
it.
gauntlets.
With the, yes, with the gauntlets.
Like, what's the decision? This is really cool thunder. 19 says.
19 definitely hits.
Okay.
You watch as almost this like mailed fist of Fletcher just slams into the creature's side, and as it does so, there's this kind of impact and a resounding almost bass drop throughout this immediate region as there's kind of a shockwave that is sent through this creature.
Dealing 12 damage.
12 damage. You see the shockwaves kind of ripple through it, and it's certainly taken the full brunt of that damage.
It also has disadvantage on attacking anyone except for me.
Oh, I see. Good to know.
Okay. You saved
Is that the end of your turn, Fletcher?
Yes.
It's this thing. This thing just took a thunderous jab to the side and is not happy about it. So it's going to turn to face you. Oh, was that a strength-based attack?
No.
Okay.
Oh, it was a strength-based attack.
Okay, so the damage is in fact okay. Good point of order. There's a weakening breath. Yeah. And he failed. Kenneth. Alright. It is going to see you in front of it. It is. It's just going to wail into you and launch 2 attacks against you.
Let's see if we actually hit.
I shall endure 1,000 points.
The first one is a 24 to hit.
Thank you.
Misses.
Oh. The second one is a 22 to hit. And it is incredibly infuriated. As it,
Yes, he should.
the first strike entirely misses as it's kind of just wildly striking out after that blow. The second one slams you square in the chest, but you kind of just like take it and firm the head. That's the end of its turn. It can't do anything. Thomas, you're up.
Yes, I'm gonna draw my rapier. And I'm gonna I'm gonna fence towards it, just like the.
As you aggressively shuffle fence towards this creature, make an attack roll.
Yeah. Yes. 24.
24 is
I'm actually
definitely going to
gonna
hit.
hit
You get
it
sneak
this
attack
time.
on this one.
Huh?
Sneak attack on this one because it's currently engaged in another
Oh
creature.
yes, I can actually take sneak attack. Nice. So I'll roll damage first. That's 12 damage, and then sneak attack is an extra. So 33 damage.
33 points of damage as you thrust straight through what appears to be almost its neck region. The rapier kind of sticking out the side. As you withdraw the blade, there is a gout of blood, and it immediately begins to start knitting together. 33 points of damage. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage.
Wait, you didn't kill him though?
Nope.
What?
He's still up. Alright, Kenneth, you're up.
I'll scream.
I'll rush towards them. I'll take my 2 swings.
Okay.
Man's gonna steal my hard-earned damage 10.
What's your movement speed?
40 feet.
Okay, yes, you can.
10.
10 misses.
19.
19 is gonna hit.
17.
17. It kind of attempts to bring one leg up to block whatever attacks are coming in, and in doing so, you kind of strike, and seeing that it hasn't quite liquefied its bones yet, the Grey Hex essentially goes straight through the knee joint and splits the knee. 17 damage. It's looking very rough.
Still not dead. Jesus.
No.
It's tanky.
These things have some decent hit points.
Isn't that damage half though?
It's a strength-based attack, but he succeeded the same.
Oh, okay, alright.
That is the end of
It's time to finish it again.
Calvin. What are you gonna do? Bellboy time.
Cast, Toll the Dead.
That is a wisdom save.
Wisdom save comes from.
Natural one.
Double damage.
Yeah.
That is
Fair enough.
44 points of necrotic damage.
Being confronted by all of this, all of its physical attacks, it doesn't notice that the flying bird creature, as it towers over, extends a hand outwards. Once again, you hear this cacophony of bells as the flames this time shoot from your hand, wreathing it in fire, which turns black, and the creature itself essentially melts into the floor. It had about half of that left. It had 26 hit points left. So. You watch as the snake,
alive or the dead?
the snake is thoroughly dead.
Nice. Okay, I would like to go over and inspect it.
Hope none of the
Oh, wait,
others
no.
are in the
I would
room.
like to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Both of the corpses are resoundingly melt.
No, I can't do
Are you
that.
gonna just land on the...
I won't
Thomas
steal it.
is looking at the corpse. Now take my.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm
keep on
gonna go up to both of the ashes. I'm gonna take the ashes.
Okay.
And then put them into my
You
bag.
can add to your inventory lots of snake ashes.
Before he does that, can I hit it? Can I just hit the ash?
Yeah, you hit the ashes for a second in
I just keep
frustration.
on hitting it.
Wait, why?
Hit it time before you realize, I think it's dead. There's kind of a silence. The rain is beginning to subside slightly. The evening is getting just a little bit closer. The night itself is getting a little bit closer. The figure that addressed you earlier kind of peeks their head out the gate, like, God! And at that point, the gate opens up, and a series of guards rush out. But two of them walking towards you all says, "Wow, you guys are heroes!" And just ushers towards you, kind of like tries to shuffle you into the tower itself. And they're like, "We can prepare you some lodgings. Please help us. We're in desperate need."
Can I go up to the guy and try and look menacing? And ask him,
Excellent.
what the was that?
Make an intimidation or persuasion check.
I'll so 17.
17. The guard kind of looks at you for a second, like looks at your chest, and then like looks up, and you see like as the ground around just gets a little bit wetter. This is like, I don't know. They've been attacking us in the night for the past maybe 4 or 5 days. I don't know.
So can I go?
Please just sleep. Go to the tavern.
I'll go down and say, find me some dolls.
Okay. It just kind of like rushes off into the town. The guards themselves are kind of like inspecting the ash piles, kind of like tapping them with a bow or a spear. They're like,
He's dead. Yeah, he's dead.
and they
Can I
begin to.
grab some ashes?
You can't. You grab 8 ashes. Well, no, sorry, snake ashes.
Snake ashes.
I'm going to now.
I'm just gonna go up to one of the guards and be like, have you guys dealt with any of this before? Or have they always just had that?
These ones were a little bit bigger than what we previously encountered. There are a variety of small, almost hound-like ones, and then just a lot of snakes, just lots and lots of snakes. They usually don't come in from this side. They usually come over from the side of the more trench itself. I guess maybe your cart rolling in might have alerted them.
Could you show me the other side?
I'd be happy to show you. Do you want me to show you now or after you've rested?
I can rest after.
Okay. You guys are ushered into the town by the guards. For those of you who aren't going to take a look at the trench, there is a larger inn in the center of town. Most of the settlement here is resounding one floor. There's kind of these squat rooms, almost flat rooms. But the town itself is almost, it looks to be almost 2.5 stories tall with a kind of a smaller attic at the top. It looks very homely. There's a sign out the front which is kind of, it's made of iron. It's kind of resembling an iron cast tank with a small plaque underneath it labeling the hold fast. And this is a tavern that we will be staying at. For those of you who are ushered in. Calvin, one of the guards leads you to the other side of the settlement. It takes a little while to kind of weave through some of the more dense parts of the settlement. As you're going through, it seems like word has spread quickly of what you did on the other side of the town. And there are a couple of peasants kind of like looking at you. One of them kind of tries to grab your handkerchief. And, but there are a couple others that cower away, kind of a very imposing figure with having these massive wings. You are led to the other side of the town where you look up. This battlement, however, seems a lot more permanent. It seems to be much older, perhaps that the town was maybe built around it. It is stone, and you are led up a flight of stairs before you look out at the incredibly thick jungle canopy on the other side of the town. It is almost impossible to make out any clear tracks or anything of note. It seems entirely untouched by civilization. There aren't any cutaway trees, as you've seen on the other side. It seems to extend all the way up to the gate. And the gate itself, which you had seen before you were coming up the stairs, has been almost barricaded from the other side by broken carts and chests and that sort of thing. The guard kind of says, they try and scale the walls, usually in the middle of the night. We have guards posted out here day and night with crossbows, but sometimes they get through.
How come you had a camp on the other end? How come not?
We tried to go down there and clear it out, but they attacked immediately. I think we cut down one tree, and the next day it had grown back. There's something strange about this temple.
Interesting. I guess we'll be back tomorrow.
Your lodgings have been prepared. You guys, for those of you who enter the whole fast, you'll be there shortly after. Oh, you will when you
I went to the tavern.
Okay. Tavern.
Is there anybody? Is it like a very crowded inn, or is it like there's like a?
It seems like there are not many. There are kind of what looks to be kind of like a few regulars at this almost like bar and stool area. A couple of heavy tankards. Oh, shouldn't touch that. A couple of heavy tankards in hand. Appear to be deep in their cups. The individual behind the bar seems to be kind of a squat, dwarvish figure with a like a bushy gray beard with streaks of black, but mainly gray.
I would like to walk in with my cloak of elven kind put up, and I would like to just like walk in like Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, coming into the town of Bree, like standing in the doorway as an opposing figure, and then just slinking into the corner without anyone noticing.
The dwarf kind of almost goes to usher you to your lodgings, then seeing that with the hood pulled up and slinking into the corner, kind of decides against it. And instead gestures to you, who looks resoundingly less creepy and mysterious, and kind of just hands you a mug. Not really a mug, sort of iron tankard filled with this brackish, brownish liquid, and hands it to you and says, "On my house." Those of you enter shortly after. The dwarf is filling up more tankards. Kind of has one resting on the bar for this individual if they ever want to come and get it. and hands you to both these tanglers. And over the course of the night, for the sake of brevity, making sure that we still get stuff done in one shot, you guys spend the evening at the tavern itself. As you've arrived, there's kind of a procession that follows you afterwards of a series of travelers, not travelers, of townsfolk that usher in, trying to hear tales from some of the other guards who've got off duty about the adventures that came into town and slayed these hideous beasts. And there is song and merriment for a time before you all eventually collapse, either of drunkenness or exhaustion, into your lodgings. Everybody can go take a long rest.
Yay!
I know, I am being generous with this one. There's a reason for it.
Wait,
I want
we
us
to, yes, you want us to recover one level of this one?
Yes, you recover a little bit.
That's right. I now have max hit points again.
This is the first time in a long
I
time.
know.
Oh, wait, no, nice and early. I go to Saxon and Japanese. With my accent, stop trying to cut.
On their side?
Yeah.
On the trench side?
What side has like that one tree? Is it that one tree?
Oh yeah, that is the trench side.
Yeah, I'll stop cutting.
As you go over to the trenched wall, the wall itself is still barricaded, and you watch as guards are slowly clearing away the barricades, and you see your cart appears to have been arranged from outside the tavern to outside the wall itself, and has been stopped by the guard. They're slowly clearing away the gate. It's not yet cleared away, but it will be in about an hour. It's currently around about 5:36 in the morning.
So I can't get through the gate.
I mean, if you want to just like pull some people aside and try and get through the gate, you can certainly try.
I'm trying to climb the
You're going to try and climb the head. There are stairs on the town side.
Okay.
So you scale the stairs.
Okay.
You now look down from the parapets themselves down to the jungle canopy below. The canopy itself is incredibly dense. You can't quite tell how tall the trees are, but the canopy itself is around about 30 feet down.
Never mind, I'll go to the other side and try the same thing.
Oh, you're going to where you come into
Yeah,
town?
we can.
Okay. You walk through the town, go on to the other side of town, you take your axe, give a good swing, make a strength check, or an athletics check, sorry.
Athletics.
As you just take a big thunk inside one of the trees.
21.
21. It only takes you a couple shots with this kind of medium-sized jungle trees. You swing through before it cracks and falls. Since we
Keep on moving that, I guess.
you're cutting down more trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, I'll observe this. See if I can magically work.
Okay. Make a nature or arcana check. Four? Looks like a tree stump. You can't quite tell. You're not very versed in the art of trees. You spend a little bit of time hacking down some more trees.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, make a constitution check. See how well you do, and if you manage to not exhaust yourself. 18. 18? Yeah, you do pretty well. You knock down about maybe 6 trees. You feel very confident in your deforestation efforts, and at this point, you begin heading back towards the tavern. You guys are all woken by members of the guard. They kind of wrap their knuckles on the door.
Well, I've actually been up for hours.
Oh, you've been up for hours. Lovely.
I've just been.
Now, how many hours exactly?
Well, they all have to take an 8-hour rest.
Yep.
I only have to take 4.
I
so I've
see.
been up for 4 hours, and I've just been minding my own business, making sure my whip is sharp. And
Okay, so
my
you
arrows.
resume your arrowborn position in the corner. Just one of them kind of realizes you're there, and you're like, "Oh yeah, part of the adventures." And kind of just walks up to you and says, "We've prepared your cart out front, well, by the trench. If you want to go and sort our problems out, please."
I say no words, but simply not. Before standing up and rousing my companions.
Yes, you're also working by members of the guard as they convey a similar message before leaving you to your own devices.
Is he back at this point?
He's back at this point. He's in the
He's in the inn
yeah, he's in the actual inn area. There's been a kind of a plate of stale bread and almost like pork rations and that sort of thing have been brought out and generously heated up for this hulking individual.
Alright, I guess it's just... That's good. And we'll go... And I'll go head down. It's just really...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay in the room.
Everybody at this point, as you head down, you're all in the inn itself. The top floor.
Alright.
There is another figure who steps into the tavern itself, and you see a figure dressed similar to the style of the guard, but slightly more ostentatious. The figure themselves is they look almost human, if not for the fact that they have almost onyx black stone-like skin and these like molten gold eyes. You kind of recognize the silhouette of this figure as the person who had previously allowed you guys into the gates in the beginning.
That's the alarm.
Is it working? Is it dead? Question. I think the music is dead. No, it's not.
I would like to just sneakily just flick a dagger from my wrist into my hands to be prepared.
Yeah.
Slowly.
The creature addressed the individual addresses all of you. I didn't get proper introductions earlier. I'm the mayor of this town. I was the one who let you in. I just want to express my gratitude to all of you. And thank you so much. I heard one of you was asking about more information about the creatures that we were going to be that you might encounter. What we are asking you to do is, we've seen one particular creature that is decidedly larger than the rest of them, and we believe that it is both leading these attacks and is potentially held up in a ruin about 5 hours into the trench. It is terrifying. I don't know much about it personally. I've only seen it once.
One question. Why are they attacking? Good reason. They haven't done it before.
I wish I could tell you. I've not seen. I don't have an answer for you, I'm afraid. Never seen such ferocity from these creatures. I've never seen creatures like this. If you want, you can make an insight check.
I will make such a thing very much. 6.
He seems pretty genuine.
You're rolling so gambling.
He seems pretty genuine in what he's saying. You don't discern any sort of falsehood or anything like that. He says, we've prepared your cart with plenty of rations, and we've repaired it as well. The wheel was kind of busted. It was going to come off if any sort of weight was put on it. So we've repaired that for you. It's waiting by the trench wall. Shall I leave?
Is there any other things you guys need to do? Because I'm good.
I shake my head.
Okay. You're led once again through the town. There seems to be a larger procession this time of individuals that have begun to almost move around you and are following you towards the gate. There are a series of kind of small children throwing flowers at you or throwing ribbons, and you get the sense that they're both incredibly elated that you are going to undertake this task, but at the same time also not expecting you to come back.
I will grab him.
You guys are more spectacle than anything else.
I'll grab him close to me and I'll whisper in his ear.
Who?
I'm not a dude. I'm a woman. That's
Oh,
sexual
right.
harassment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're so
What?
assuming
Okay.
my
I'll
gender.
grab him close and I'll whisper, when we come back, you can go sneak around and find out what's happening.
And I whisper back. I whisper back to you. No.
You guys are led.
Please have some uses.
You guys are led to the
I'm
trench.
not fairly useless.
The gate itself.
Giving you some
The gate itself is now been cleared of the barricade around it, and you see what looks to be an ancient door. It looks to be very much not in keeping with the aesthetic of the town itself. The wall itself, as I previously mentioned, was this kind of incredibly large stone wall, like it was almost like the remnants of an old fort that the town had been built around. And the gate itself, there are two separate gates. There is both like an iron barred gate, and there is a wooden door. The wooden door has been pulled open, and you see a number of guards with these large, heavy chains pulling the iron grate up it slowly.
Okay, I would like to say to my companions, I will scout.
Okay. As you look out into the
Dude,
into
I
the
have
dense
plus
jungle,
11 stealth.
you look out from beyond the fort, and you quite literally just see green. There is it is a thick matting of underbrush and large squat trees. Now that you're from the underside of the canopy, you can look up as you're slowly moving through the wall itself, and you look up, and the canopy itself is probably about 20 feet tall, and is incredibly dense. Can I have a marching order from you guys as you leave? You guys, are you taking your car?
Before, I'm actually going to be like,
Potentially around about 5 hours travel.
okay, well, I'm going to be like far ahead, just like to the side slightly, just, oh sorry, you
Just before we head off, can I just kind of fly up to just above the treetops?
Do so.
And just kind of look on and in the direction that we're traveling to
Yes.
see, is it all jungle, or is there a clearing, or is there any sign of where we're headed? Of the
Make a perception or nature check.
Yeah, that's an 8.
8. You look out and you just see dense trees.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna,
Marching order from you guys.
okay, so I'm actually gonna like be like a little bit ahead, so
Okay.
if marching orders like this, I'm gonna be like slightly off to the left, just like,
Okay, so
like,
you're scouting at the front?
yeah, like 30 feet in or something, like front.
At the front of the...
Yeah, but you guys can see us, you don't
way
walk
too
in.
high.
Okay.
I'll go.
And then I'm assuming that you're taking the valiantly leading the rear.
I'm gonna try and just like hover kind of like around the branches just above, like just about 10 feet or so above them, if I can. If there are no branches, then I'll switch and I'll stay with it.
Okay.
Just kind of flitting between.
Yep,
the
you kind of flip between branches. It is incredibly, the jungle itself is incredibly thick, and it's not that hard for you to kind of leap from branch to branch. Flying itself is kind of difficult here, because of how dense it is. I'll say make an acrobatics check. Or athletics.
That's a 18.
18? No problem for you. You kind of almost like flutter hop in between each of these branches and vines, and you seem to manage pretty well. Trekking through the forest now, the two people leading the pack, I need both of you to make a survival check, you to make a perception.
16.
23. Okay. You managed to stay the course relatively well, and everybody roughly keeping sight of where you are, despite the mottling of the globe. You guys seem to maintain a pretty straight course. You can see now, first thing you notice, and you all notice this as well, is as you descend into the jungle itself, the air quickly changes to be very warm and humid. It seemed from outside that it was more of a brisk day.
Wait, so how long will we travel right now?
About maybe 20 minutes.
I will start slashing on trees.
You're gonna start sliding on trees.
Just to keep
Make
my
a
body warm.
athletics check. Oh, you're making like you're leaving a breadcrumb trail.
No, as in I'll like.
Oh, you want to cut down some trees?
No, just
He just
I'll
wants
slash
to be
the trees, so leave a trail.
Yes, you're leaving a
Yeah,
breadcrumb trail.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Make an athletics check.
Athletics. Great.
21. Yeah. Effectively enough, you leave kind of these deep gouges in trees. You're like, I think I'll spot that when we come back.
Are there any other signs of like big creatures moving through this, or is
Just glancing around with your passive perception, no. It looks like this is entirely untouched by wildlife, save for the fact that you guys are being raided by insects. It is incredibly humid in this jungle, and the air itself, you have licked your lips for a second, and it comes back almost salty and bitter, and you find yourself frequently slapping away insects which range from almost small fruit fly-like insects to larger mosquitoes that are almost rat size. I need all of you to make Constitution saving throws.
Oh no. Can I hold on before that? Can I well, as we get as the insects kind of start happening, can I cast Sanctuary on myself?
You can.
To try and ward them off.
Okay. You, as you watch as the insects essentially go to bite you, find themselves kind of biting against almost rock hard skin, and there's almost this like flash of blue as they try to bite you, and none of them seem wise enough to be able to penetrate the sanctuary. So you don't have a roll.
I believe it's the first natural 20.
Oh, nice.
No. Mine also. An initiative roll was natural 20.
Solid.
Oh.
The
third
first
one.
There's two natural 20s.
27.
Lucky number 3.
You're poisoned. That is, yeah. I can't say how long.
That's
Wait, so I'm making knots every 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, roughly every 20 minutes you're leaving like a deep gouge in a tree or so.
I would like to cover myself. I know that I succeeded, but I would like to cover myself in snake.
You cover yourself in snake ashes. All of you get this like very weird sulfurous smell coming from in front of you. You're like, what is that? And then as you see Thomas's figure in a little bit further forward, excuse me, the camo of the cloak of Elvenheim is almost distorted by this strange blackish cover on top of it. You're like, what?
I didn't say on the clothes, it was like on my face.
Ah.
To stop the mosquitoes from biting me.
The first hour of travel goes relatively uneventfully. I need everybody else to make one more Constitution saving throw.
Me is
Yours, I'd say your sanctuary is still kind of at the very tail end, so you don't need to do it.
all of us?
Yes, the rest of you make Constitution saving throws.
Right.
6. Suffer 1 point of exhaustion.
6.
6. You're poisoned.
What? Okay.
You're poisoned. The next hour of travel goes by. You guys see, as you're beginning to descend into the jungle, you get the sense that you're actually also moving down slightly, like you're on a bit of a slope. And the canopy itself is getting higher and higher. You can also see now around you, it becomes more clear, these thick vines, almost like very large ropes instead of vines, almost knotted across each other, and these like sweeping boughs, and some of them like hang completely down to the floor. Some of these vines stretching maybe 40 feet long.
how far into the travel is it?
About an hour and a half to 2 hours now.
Would I be able to find just like a little opening in the roof of the canopy and just, once again, just fly up above it and just have another look just ahead to see if we can see any landmarks or
Okay.
anything in the distance?
As you push up, I'll say make an acrobatics check just so you can push through kind of these denser parts of the jungle. 13? Yeah, easy enough. You push through, maybe catching a few scraps and scrapes from these smaller branches that kind of stick out, but you ignore much of the potential threats here. You breach the canopy, and if any of you or any of you in the audience have seen The Hobbit when Bilbo Baggins kind of pops up over Mirkwood and looks out, it is bugger. It is essentially just like a absolute field of green in a field rather than a dense canopy.
Field of green. Whoa.
It is almost solid in how dense it is. Make a perception check if you want to.
Next one?
Natural 20.
25.
25. Ahead in the distance, you can see what looks to be kind of almost a a silhouette mired by atmospheric perspective, but essentially what you thought was maybe a mountain in the distance of the trench maybe turning looks more like a fortress. And you get more of a clearer view of it now. It is a massive room. It looks to be remnants of some sort of ancient castle.
And does it appear to be like breaching the canopy?
It is breaching the canopy.
Can I throw a rock at it?
I'm guessing.
It's maybe about like a mile off, or 2 mile and a
Can
half.
I throw a rock when we get closer?
You could punch a rock if you wanted to.
Alright, I'm gonna just fly just back down. Get back to these
What's
two.
your passive perception? As you are descending back down through the trees, you, just out of the corner of your eye, you see some of the vines shift slightly and move.
I'm gonna just keep up.
Not immediately next to you, maybe about 20 or so feet off.
Are they, can I see these two?
Yeah, you can see that they're pretty much
Are
directly
they
below.
in the other vines that near them?
No.
That are moving?
No.
They're
Just roughly about 20 feet off, you see one particular vine which essentially begins to shake slightly. Just what you
Could just be the wind.
do. You have
I'm just gonna keep the height just above it.
It's
Not above.
It's not entirely directly along your path, but you'll pass by it. As you
I'm
guys,
just gonna keep an eye on these two. I'm how far away were they? Would I be able to like
they're
shout out?
directly below you.
Okay. I'm just gonna like shout out just in about the direction of the vine. Just
Okay, so you shout.
yeah. Just so that they definitely can hear me. Like,
Okay, we're good.
Alright.
You
Uh,
are you keeping a height or are you?
I'm gonna keep the height as well.
Okay. How tall roughly are you? How high?
How high is the top of the canopy?
The top of the canopy from where you are is roughly about 40 to 50 feet.
I'll just stay just under the top.
Okay, that's around the height of the vine.
Okay.
As
At
you
the
get
top of it or
the vine itself, as you get closer, the one that moved appears to be wrapped around what looks to be one of the larger branches of one of these trees. And as you get a little bit closer, you see lining the vine itself kind of these faintly glittering black orbs, which you make out to be eyes. And it seems to have eyes running along the length of the vine. It's almost curling around the branch itself. Interestingly enough, you can actually point out the 2 ends of the vine. It's not attached to anything. At the same time, there's no head to whatever this is. It's almost like this scaled slug. A series of eyes.
Can I just have a quick look around? I'm just gonna stop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a look around the other.
See if you can
Can
spot
I
it.
see if I can
Make
spot
a
the
perception
other
check.
ones? 21.
21. You see off to your side, roughly 30 feet to your right, 2 more. None of them appear to be aggressively moving towards you at all. They appear to be just moving, but very slow.
Can I just like go down to the base with these two? I'm just gonna like whisper to them. Like, there's something up there. I think they're either watching us or something. Just be careful.
when I hit this, I'm gonna take out my gun,
Yeah.
and just have one in my hand ready to.
As he points this out, you guys all look up now, and you see a series of these same creatures. The ones that he had pointed out, as well as a number of maybe about 5 or 6 more in this immediate area that are either hanging along actual vines, or hanging from branches, or there just seem to be a lot of them. They're not moving towards you. They just seem to be going about whatever they are doing. You see one of them pushing into a tree itself, and it comes to this like burrowing.
I would like to conceal myself on a tree so that they don't spot me.
That makes sense. Are you guys moving stealthily from this point, or are you moving?
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay, everybody make a stealth check.
we should probably-
28!
Did you roll with advantage as well?
Oh yes, that's right, I have advantage.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, no, it's still 28.
Discords. giving me pins.
Oh wait, no, I've been poisoned, so I had 5 roll rolls.
10. So,
28.
28? 13?
5.
5?
I'm the only one who's not going to be spotted. Increase the average.
Okay,
You watch as your guide, you guys all see as your guide just disappears entirely. You're like,
What am I great at?
and occasionally you just like whistle or something to let them know where you are. The rest of you, however, are moving rather clunkily through the jungle itself.
Is there like leaves or bushes that they cut down?
It is incredibly thick with underbrush. Whoever is at the front, you're frequently having to find yourself kind of swatting away some of the dense entanglement.
I would go up to Fletcher. I'll take my scissors and start cutting down like the leaves and whatever else is like. Maybe easier to cut.
No. You see, as you kind of just glancing around now, keeping an eye out for these creatures, you glance back for a second, you see the path that you've been cutting through this underbrush is beginning to repack itself again.
Which means you're broken up.
Okay, so we're telling the truth then. The forest appears to be regrowing.
Wait, you guys pushing on? Alright. You guys slowly, shoddily attempting stealth move through the underbrush. As you enter kind of the 3 to 4 hour mark of travel, I'd like everybody to go ahead and make perception checks. Or investigation.
I would do the
I
23.
I would use
22. 22. Okay. 20. 10. Your poison is has subsided. Roughly, you're fine now, but
that's where I
you are poisoned. You are poisoned.
Okay.
Do you have 1 point of
level?
Level.
For perception, because I didn't roll.
Oh, I see.
So I can no one.
You're not poisoned, but you still have 1 point of exhaustion.
Wait, you taking the
What's your perception roll?
20.
Perception roll?
Oh,
What did you roll? You guys, both kind of more in the center of the pack, begin to make out as these guys are very intent on keeping the direction. You see that much of the dense underbrush here is kind of naturally subsiding, not through any sort of carving way or anything like that, but the underbrush is beginning to subside. You get the feeling that you're approaching some sort of opening.
Is the canopy less solid? Is there gaps in it? Or?
You still
It's
can
still
barely
solid.
see ahead of you in terms of the canopy. You keep cutting away, pushing over
mean
and under
above us?
large branches. Oh, the canopy itself? Canopy itself, no, still dense though. As you're pushing over and under low-hanging branches, though, you can still just see a wall of greenery.
Yeah, I'm just standing on the ground.
Brought out my great axe now. Doing this thing. Brought out my
Red
great axe.
axe? Yeah.
Yeah.
You also notice the creatures that you had seen before can't seem to spot anymore.
Alright. Let's see if moving on. We've moved on from there. Thought we might be almost there.
About half an hour more of travel from this point on before you at the head of the pack begin to see the creature in front of you subside. And begin to make out what appears to be kind of like a small hill of some sort, and you can barely make out through the trees some semblance of stone.
Can I throw a rock at it?
Make an investigation. 14?
Yeah.
You pick up a rock, you find one around the ground. Shut. Make a strength check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, give it a hefty lob. 5. It travels for around about 20 feet before sadly hitting a branch.
Angus. I'm actively trying to find one of those eye.
The eye things?
Yeah,
Perception checks. 23. You glance around. You don't see any of these creatures. Either the grass itself. There is plenty of grass around, but it's more like thick vines and branches that are matted all over the ground. But as you,
I mean on the hill and stuff.
oh, the hill itself, maybe about maybe about 10 centimeters tall.
Oh, okay. So it's like
It's not like it's short grass.
Is it freshly mowed?
It doesn't look freshly mowed, but it doesn't look entirely overgrown like the rest of the jungle.
freshly sizzled.
The rest of you begin to catch sight of this kind of clearing hill as well. And you see what looks to be the semblances, not quite of the massive structure that you had seen before, but of this smaller chapel-like building. But it's almost entirely fallen in. There's elements of what would be walls, but they've fallen. You see one almost intact window frame with kind of an iron grate over it with semblance of what would have been stained glass, which is smashed.
So it looks like the ceiling is just collapsed.
It is entirely collapsed inwards.
Good. Is this also in like a thing?
Yes, this is in the clearing.
I'm just gonna like try and fly up, just to have an aerial view of what.
Oh, like all of you once again to make stealth checks, you can disadvantage using our flashing of lights.
Yay, 26.
7.
7. 6. 18. 18. Good averages from the party apart from you who's not with the party at this point. You guys kind of coalesce together and look at the edge of the
Can I investigate?
what are you looking for, sir?
Because the far side is going to hit.
Yes.
I'm wondering why. Any sign of anything?
Make an investigation check. Yeah. You getting a bit of a bird's eye view, from this, from just reaching over the small semblances of canopy behind you. You see this structure itself has a series of smaller structures inside it. They seem to be almost like tents, or at least like an old remnants of a campsite. We'll get to that in a second. 9. Trees don't grow here. It doesn't look like it.
Okay, so with this chapel, you have described
There is kind of there's a series of stone steps that are directly in front of you, which kind of lead up into what was the chapel that sat atop this.
Okay, but there's like a wall surrounding it with a gate.
It's not.
No, there isn't. It's just a chapel.
It's just a chapel. Independent of the jungle.
Okay, I'd like to go up to it, and I'd like to investigate the traps.
Okay, you're going to look for traps along the steps.
Yes.
Okay, make a investigation check. You. What was it? 2 rolls.
11. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, I have 10.
Okay, 7, 10. You see what just looks to be almost the semblances of like a ruined campsite, like a campsite that had been here for maybe about 2 weeks or so, that has fallen in. Some of the tents are just ripped asunder. No, it doesn't. What was the one? 10. You look at the steps. Like steps.
Okay,
Stone steps doesn't look like a trap.
I'd like to walk up those stairs using a chapel.
Okay, what are the rest of you guys doing?
I'm just gonna kind of stay just above it, but kind of lower myself down because I'll see if I see him kind of attempting to go in.
Okay.
Just kind of circle around, looking from the outer area.
Follow
Seeing if I can see the inside of the door.
10, 15 feet behind conversation.
My name is Galadriel.
Is it actually?
Yes.
Did you name your character Galadriel?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. You
No,
slowly,
we didn't. We just assumed that we knew each other.
you slowly begin to move up the back to the first track.
Just pick like Return of the King music.
As you slowly move into the chapel itself, you can see now what you previously thought was almost like a half-destroyed chapel, only kind of has a front facade, and the rest of it is almost entirely fallen in.
Okay.
You can see from your perspective now, and your perspective as you lead up behind him, this kind of smattering of tents in what would have been like the central chamber of the chapel itself, but it has since completely been ripped entirely, and there is what was almost like a campfire, but there's on this kind of raised mound of earth, and it is entirely scattered.
I would like some look for any holy religious symbols and anything with investigation.
Okay, make an investigation.
I'm
or
going to go
religion
look
check.
for bodies.
Okay, make a investigation check, or yeah.
Oh wait, I missed one. 4. Yeah.
At this point,
2.
is up to 2. You don't see any bodies. They're fucking up. Seems like a chapel. Kenneth, what are you doing?
Okay.
You guys go to the chapel. The pre-existing one. You guys do.
Yeah.
Okay. You move towards the pre-existing campfire, which kind of sits on a slightly more raised mound of earth. With your guys' passive perception, you kind of make out there is almost a rise and fall beneath the campfire. Like the ground just slightly lifted and slightly receded.
Yeah, I'll move my like come down from the rest of the
Yeah. You guys all see this.
Can I take I'll put my great axe into my other hand. Can I try and take my pole with it and try and poke at it?
You're going to poke the mound.
Yes. I'm going to poke the mound.
Oh no.
Okay. I was gonna make another Hobbit reference, but none of you guys have seen those movies.
Yes,
I
you
have.
have.
Ah.
All of us have.
Okay. Yeah, you. Okay. You watch as he withdraws the halberd. Yeah. And kind of pokes
It's just one
slightly.
of us, apparently.
And there is a shifting of dirt and a couple loose stones fall off of the mound. And you watch as it kind of reveals a small gap, which almost looks to be almost like this little jade stone. And it flips open like an eyelid. You see one of those black eyes, like you'd seen previously. Kind of like when the coins clear and then Smog's eyes right there.
Yeah, we got it.
You get that. And then you watch it begin to rise more, and you now see lifting out of the dirt what looks to be a colossal snake, maybe about 40 feet in length. The snake itself has a solid, thick body. The scales themselves look like armor, look like jade gemstones. And where you would expect to see a single head, you see the snake itself splits into 9 separate snakes with 9 separate heads. All with these almost like opal black eyes. And every single one of these heads looks towards you, Kenneth. Mouths opening. You see rows of about 6 fangs.
Okay.
Does anybody have any fire?
And I need to want you to roll initiative.
Because otherwise
Hey,
we're all
Angus,
dead.
I'll take my great axe. I'll keep it in my dominant hand.
Let's see.
I'll try and pull.
It was a
ritual.
hijack.
We're rolling initiative, by the way.
I'm trying to speak to them. No, that I'm trying to speak to them.
You guys literally just poked the winner. Like,
It's fine.
21.
I was about to punch
21, okay?
Giant snake.
This is gonna be terrible.
8.
Guys, we need
This
fire
thing, by the way, is
for-
decidedly bigger. Go on to the next battle map that you've previously seen.
Oh god. Wait, why are there 2?
Well, as this mountain lifts,
Oh,
you see another one of those creatures that you previously fought outside the town kind of slink out from in one of the kind of almost chapel antechambers.
Oh
Recolor yourselves appropriately. Also, Kenneth, put yourself right next to the big thing.
Big guy. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be over there.
Okay.
17.
Pardon?
17.
Roll a dexterity check.
Dex.
This is gonna be so bad. We're gonna die.
You mind?
13.
I'm gonna
13?
die.
The big guy's going before you.
Mother.
Alright. I need to check how many hit points it is. Oh, okay, cool.
I'll tackle the head, but
Alright. 25 to 20 for anyone?
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, yes.
21.
Okay, good to know. 20 to 15? You? 15 to 10? 10 to 5?
8.
Oh!
Nice.
Okay, which one of you has the higher dex?
That's 16.
Okay.
9.
Lovely. Alright, top of the round, Thomas, you're up. You can see both of these creatures now decidedly pissed off. As
I'm gonna hide.
the one entirely in front of Kenneth is right to make a stealth check.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hide. Yes, deal with it. 24.
Okay. You feel like you're pretty well hidden. And as you go to examine the two creatures, lining up right, I don't know why that keeps these creatures you see that the smaller creature has decidedly completely forgotten about you. The giant constrictor snake is looking directly at Kenneth, except for one of the heads, which kind of darts in your direction. You get the sense you're not protected from it.
That's not
You're
fair.
all an actual 20 points of perception.
Oh, come on!
It's advantage on
It has advantage because it has 9 heads.
Yeah, that would make sense. So he rolled 9 times.
No, I just roll once.
That's so
Alright. Now,
damn it.
I need. What else do you do?
Oh, okay. Well, because I know that it can see me, I'm just gonna shoot an arrow at it.
Okay. Roll the hit. You do not have advantage. You are not hit.
Yeah. 26. 26.
Okay. 26. 26 is going in. Yes.
Yeah.
Roll damage. You do not get sneak.
8.
Oh yes. No. Sorry. It is engaged with Ken, so you do get sneak.
Yes, 8 damage plus 14, so that's
22. Nice.
not as much as last time.
You watch as you strike its frame, and the jade scales you see now, which aren't set in place, they begin to almost spin around the creature, like they're free fall around this creature, twisting and constricting around it, as one of them kind of just like bounces your arrow off.
Did it not hit?
It made contact,
Oh, okay.
but it didn't seem to do it.
Come on.
So that was 22 damage, you said?
Yes. I'm getting a very
That is the end of your turn.
Yeah.
It is now its turn. You watch as the creature itself, seeing you in front of it, just gets even more angry, and you see the jade scale begin to brighten and swirl around it, and it's kind of like this shift, and this kind of arcane bubble begins to form around it, this greenish arcane bubble. It's going to attack out at you, making 6 bite attacks.
Oh.
It's one attack. It's one attack. It's what it calls flurry of bites.
I'm going to use Warding Flex.
Warding
disadvantage.
It has disadvantage. Okay.
Like I thought this.
You really are just a B-52. You even have chat.
Yeah, I have the chat.
That's a 17.
Just.
Oh. Lovely.
Wait, why? As a barbarian, why do you only have 16?
Yeah, 17.
Oh, that's not.
Is it?
Oh, lovely. You take 24 points of piercing damage.
That's okay. Check.
Oh, actually, there's a
thing is great.
I know, it's not funny to go, it's just not kidding.
Yeah, it's all one.
And it is going to shift away from you.
Oh no.
Yes.
And you watch as it kind of forms,
There it
and moves and
goes.
revolves and almost flattens itself straight to the ground before moving directly up towards you. It is immune to opportunity attacks. That's the end of it. That's the end of its turn. Kenneth, you're up.
I'll go up to the big guy.
Burkard!
I will rage.
Alright, you rage.
Take my time.
You take your attacks, striking out against this thing.
Yes.
By the way, Fletcher, make an Arcana check real quick. I don't know. The mixing on this one is really hard.
11.
Hold on a second. I've got it here.
11.
11? That's enough. You recognize the... Yeah, that works. You recognize the spell that this thing casts as the kind of bubble is around it. It is similar to your own shield. In the sense that it's bolstering up.
Oh god.
28 does it.
Solid.
Yes, I don't think it's bolstering it up to that much. 20 points of damage. As you strike out with your battle axe, despite the shifting scales, you see as your magical blade strikes into it, it strikes through the scales, plunging into what appears to be almost this softer, almost liquid form underneath it.
Okay.
That is 20 points of damage, and that all goes through.
Look at that. 42 damage in 2 turns. That's all.
14. 14 was actually 14 to hit, sorry. Yes. That's gonna miss. Alright. You have to declare reckless.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, is that the end of your turn?
Yeah, that's
Fine. The creature that you had fought previously, you watch as this one, also decidedly pissed off that it's one of those being attacked, is going to run up towards you, Fletcher. And it's going to it's got 40 as it's going to attempt to here actually, and you watch it unleash kind of this, it unleashes this mist, this strange greenish mist, in a line attack. I need Constitution saving throws from you and you. That one. Oh, that one. Strength-based attacks at half you, and the mist gets in your eye. You're blind. 11. Oh, strength-based attacks are half.
Oh, the strength carry this long, you
Yes, that I'm playing strategically.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah, we can tell.
Oh no.
I may have to use my time.
You see now that you are coated in this kind of weird liquid that appears to be sapping the strength from your body. As a note, you can remove this debuff as an action if you like the liquid. But it gets in your eyes. That is the end of its turn. Calvin,
Alright.
Calvin, you're in the air, correct?
Yeah, I'm just like hovering above that. Seeing as how this thing is just like trying to get amongst like going after all of us,
Yeah.
I'm going to cast Scorching Rays.
Okay.
Hitting all 3 beams on the big boy.
On the big boy?
Since
Okay.
I remember from last time the other one didn't seem to
Yeah,
take
make
as
your
much.
attack rolls.
Well, the other one did. So this is against the snake. 14, 17, 26.
Okay. 2 hit.
2 hit?
As a note, 17. It needs to make 3 concentration checks.
2 concentration.
Oh, yeah.
So the first attack, the first beam is 11.
Yeah,
The
11.
second beam is 7.
11 and 7. You watch these strikes. It rears two of its heads towards you. As you fire this towards you, raise off, they both kind of like uppercut towards spiraling before uppercutting both of these heads. And it strikes through. You see, like, you feel like you did the appropriate damage.
Alright, and as my bonus action, I'm going to expand the sorcery point.
Yeah.
I'm going to do twin spell, casting Shield of Faith on both Kenneth and Tom.
Okay. Shield of Faith. Alright, that's a +2 to AC to both of you. Alright. How high are you?
I'm about 30 feet up.
30 feet up. Okay, good.
That's just the...
Alright, that is the end of your turn. Fletcher.
Would the lay on hands use of the poison disease be able to use for strength?
I'll allow it.
I'm going to put my action.
Alright.
Do anything to the blinded, or do I have to wipe it out?
No, as you go to lay on hands, you kind of lay it on your eyes and give it a quick wipe. That is going to consume your action, but you are no longer subject to the effects of this poisonous.
And I'm going to take
Okay. Is that the end of your turn? Alright. Back to the top of the round. Thomas, you're up. This thing is right in your face, and about 4 of the 9 heads are looking directly at you.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to use Misty Step.
Misty Step.
Yep. Run off.
Alright.
Basically.
Vanish 6 squares away.
And then, as a bonus action, and as my bonus action, I'm going to draw my short bow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to attack the big guy.
Let's take a shot at the big guy. Go ahead and pull onto the roll.
11.
That's going to entirely miss. You fire off, and once again, the rotating scale is too much, and as the arrow strikes, it just kind of ping, fires off. That is entirely going to miss. Is that the end of your turn?
Yeah.
Okay. It is now its turn. Seeing that you vanished, it's frustrated, it turns around. Seeing the 2 creatures around it, it is going to go ahead and use Venomous Flurry. I need both of you to make dexterity saving throws. You are within range.
Yeah, making dexterity save.
Yeah.
20.
20.
18.
18. Both succeed. So you take 15 points of poison damage half. So 8 points of poison damage each.
Yep. You're half, and that's half again.
Yep. And you watch this borrows the surface and vanishes. There is a short time, maybe about 2 seconds, before you just feel this rumbling underneath you, and you see it from bird's eye view. It kind of like rubbles and pushes up some of the earth before it reappears here. That's the end of its turn. Ken, you're up.
I will take my action and wipe away the gun.
Okay, so you wipe away the gunk. You feel pretty confident the gunk is wiped away, and you feel the strength return to you.
I do. That's my turn.
Alright, it's your turn. Are you gonna move?
Oh, actually, I'll move next to Thomas.
You move
No,
once.
go away.
Sorry.
I'll
Once
move next to Thomas.
Okay. So you reposition yourself. Alright, and that's the end of your turn. It is now the smaller creature, the snake. It's the snake's turn. The snake is going to.
I am just
The snake now saying that it distracted you for a time. It's going to take the opportunity and wail on you for 2 attacks.
I'm not in front.
It has pack tactics.
Right, so let's see if
If I do a 25 AC.
Yeah, it's probably still not going to hit. Double 2s for the first attack, so that's a miss. Second attack is a 26. Yeah, 26. Yes. One straight.
I'm actually going to take damage. 57 health points.
You take 7 points of blood. And I need you to make a wisdom save. As the mace slams down to you and it kind of screeches loudly. 11? Just you are frightened of it. Alright, that's the end of its turn. Calvin, you're up.
I guess I'm
Sorry, you asked for poison as a result of previous things. Yes, no, you are also still. So you would actually disadvantage.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, that was my bad.
I thought it was just a bit of a check.
No.
Alright. I see we want to get rid of these things pretty quick. I'm going to cast Fireball.
Fireball? Okay.
Big ball.
Big
It's a
spell.
nice juicy fireball going down. There's a death save on both of their parts.
Yeah, I'm going to just position to avoid every balance.
For the big guy, it's a natural 1.
Oh, yes.
Okay. For the smaller resistant one, that's a 21.
21, alright, so it takes quarter damage. And it takes double.
Ah! So it's, yeah. Oh, no. Hang. It's gonna hurt.
So the big one takes 62 points of fire damage.
Watch an absolute torrent of flame, like a flamethrower, emerges from your hand, both your hands, as you push it into this creature. You watch as one of the heads entirely melts off, as it's just incinerated. That's 62 points of damage.
The other one takes. The other one takes 8 points of fire damage. Oh, I get it.
That brought it,
That's after the
that brought it down into double digits. Alright, how much?
Yeah, okay, great. After being caught.
Damn, that was a round.
I think
Then let me just have like
I should have used my thing.
Hey,
So I'm just gonna.
Angus, what did you do?
I can't touch it. Yeah, I can't touch it.
I'm just gonna get out of the door. So I need to go up and over.
Okay, up and up. 30 feet. That's, you are going to incur an opportunity attack.
That's fine.
Okay. It is going to. You know what? It's going to use a primary head attack. You watch as one head kind of pushes through what you previously thought was a 9-headed creature, now an 8-headed creature with fell flesh. All the heads kind of part to reveal this one massive mouth. It appears to be like, this isn't a hydra, this is something else. As what pushes forward is essentially, think of it almost like a tongue, but with a mouth on the end of it, which pushes up and it goes to attempt to swallow you. Gets pissed off.
I'm gonna use Warding Flare on it.
Okay, so the first roll would have been a 29 to
Yeah,
hit.
that would have hit.
The second one is a 24 to hit.
That still hits.
Okay. You take. You take 16 points of piercing damage, and you are swallowed. At the start of your next turn, you will start taking damage. Alright. That is the end. That is the end of your turn. Fletcher, you're up. You just watched one of your bird companion attempt to lift into the air as this giant, almost tongue-like appendage came out from the snake and entirely swallowed it. Swallowed your companion.
I shall read it into play.
You're gonna read which one?
Well, I'm positioned quite diagonally and it's a cone, so.
Oh, you're gonna hit both of them?
Yep.
Go ahead. Dexterity saving throw?
Yeah.
This thing is not liking the fire that you guys are hitting it with. Alright. Oh my goodness. Okay, both of them fail.
13.
13?
That's not bad.
Okay.
Fire damage.
13. So you watch as the smaller creature takes decidedly less damage.
So how did they fail? My DC is 13.
One of them rolled a 9. Oh wait. Sorry, no, the big guy does succeed because he has a high dex mod. My apologies. So 13 halved again is 7. So both of them take 7 damage. Okay. That is the end of your turn? Yep. Thomas, you're up.
Okay. I would like to bring forward and attack the big guy with my rapiers.
Okay, I'm just putting you in it. Alright. You have flanking for this, so it is a straight roll. I'm not rolling plus 2 flanking and rolling advantage rolls. So it's a straight roll and you will get sneak attack. What's the roll? 14, I get it. Wait, hold on a second.
What?
You did how much damage?
I did 62.
It's gonna make a concentration check.
Does?
Also, my shield of fate is down as well. I've got the next one.
AC
Okay.
30.
Yeah, well, its shield of faith is now also down.
Your shield of faith down.
So its AC is now down 15, so that's still going to be, unfortunately, still going to be
Mine is down as well.
to the end of your turn?
Yeah.
Alright.
Actually,
I'm gonna roll a concentration check.
Oh, yes, true.
sorry, as a bonus action, I am going
It's
to.
down. Alright, your AC is now as it was, it's no longer getting boosted.
As a bonus action, I'm going to use cunning action to disengage.
Okay, disengage, you running away.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. At the end of your turn?
Yeah, I'll just do one.
Alright. At the start of the turn, you feel the digestive fluids again just almost like sap straight the vitality out of you as it heals.
Bruh.
I'll let you roll it. Go ahead and roll 2d10.
Heal.
11? Alright. It heals for 11 points.
What heals?
The big guy.
Why?
Because it's swallowing something and digesting.
Oh.
You got to get it.
And now it is going to attempt. Who's next to it right now? Who's a juicy target?
My shield of faith would be back up because I feel like it has a real cast on mine.
Oh, is it all of them? Please. Yes.
It is going to. Oh,
Back up. But
yeah. It's going to wail on you because you're right next to it. So it's going to use its flurry of bites. It doesn't have back damage. Natural 20.
yeah, maybe don't.
Yeah, stop doing that. If you don't do that. Yeah.
Alright, so you take. This might put down. 47 points of piercing damage.
I ain't dead.
Use your eye.
And
I can't blind it.
8 points of poison.
He's dead.
You down? Alright, you watch this absolute torrent of bites as all 8 heads now sink into him and pulse this poisonous venom. And you collapse onto the ground immobilized. As the end of its turn, Kenneth, you're up. Told you guys you need that long rest. Yes, that's a lot. I rolled 21 double, 66.
It got damaged me, dang.
I will.
No, it didn't. Did not know. 47.
I think I might.
Sorry, 2 swings.
I'll take 2 swings.
2 swings, 2 strikes. Go ahead. You make it reckless.
I will.
Okay. Give yourself advantage. Alright, yeah. With your battle axe, you go to take 2 swings against this thing after seeing it swallow one individual and absolutely destroy one of the others. 27. That's gonna hit. 7. Your roll damage.
No. So that's 12.
12. Okay. Okay, it's good. It still manages to maintain you. Alright,
I'll take another swing.
yeah.
27.
27 is definitely gonna hit. Roll damage.
12 again.
12 again. And it still maintains you in its gullet. So another 12 damage. Both attacks slamming home in the center of this thing's body as you're just cleaving apart. You see some of these jade scales begin to just clatter off as this thing is getting decidedly. It's looking rough now. It's getting towards kind of the corner of its HP margin. That is the end of your turn, Kenna?
Yep, that is it.
Alright, it's the smaller one now.
Yeah.
The smaller one is going to reposition now that everybody over here is down. Then move towards Kenna. Actually, it's 2 attacks against you, Kenna.
Yep.
That is still. Oh no, yeah, still pack that hit. So, first one is a 25 hit.
Yes.
Second one is a 24 hit.
Man, you have 100 hit points, yeah?
You take
69 right now.
Oh my god!
take 20 points of bludgeoning damage. And you can make a wisdom saving throw. And wisdom saving throw. 7. You are frightened of the floor. So you have disadvantage on attack rolls against the small. Alright, that is the end of its turn. Calvin, you're up.
Come on, mate.
You immediately
Come on,
begin getting digested. Do you want to roll the damage or should I? Okay.
Oh, no.
You take. Oh, shit rolls. You take 10 points of acid damage.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
And you're slowly being digested. Very slowly. Oh. You are still inside it.
Hey,
What do you want to do while you're inside it?
Yeah, so.
This thing is looking, from the outside you can see this thing is looking very rough. And you see, as he was carving into it, you could almost see the axe swings punching through this oily, almost semi-liquid stomach.
Alright. You know what? I might. This is really hard.
Yeah, I know.
I know what to do. I'm going to use my action. I'm going to cast Burning Hands
Burning hands.
at second level.
Okay. It automatically fails its dexterity save.
Yep.
Like inside.
Because it's inside of it.
And so it takes 12 points of fire damage.
12 points of fire damage. It is doubled. As you reach the flame inside, that's 12 points of 24. You guys watch as the central mouth lifts up again, opening up to a gout of flame, but it doesn't look like it's having a very fun time with it. It was 24.
Yep.
It's looking very rough. Like it's made
Like
a...
when you eat hot sauce, like.
Alongside this gout of flame, it kind of... You see its body swell for a second, and firing out of the top of it is... Make a dexterity check to see if you can start yourself flapping your wings.
Just straight dexterity.
Yep.
2
Dude,
plus 3.
you fire straight out of the top of it, kind of freezing for a second of midair, looking down at this thing's open mouth,
No way,
and pull back towards it. Make a dexterity saving throw.
He's gonna get eaten again.
10.
Okay, you are not in it, but you're wrapped up in a series of heads around it, and some of them are kind of like they're first looking out at all the adversaries around it, now turn to look inside and see you atop the mouth. The mouth itself is like snapping at you, but it's not quite eating you. What are you
I'm going to
doing?
use my bonus action.
You have half movement.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a good idea. I'm going to just get swallowed. I'm going to use my bonus action, and I'm going to cast Sanctuary on myself.
You're gonna cast Sanctuary on yourself. You feel this protective ward come over yourself. You feel just a little bit safer, even though you are wrapped up in these serpentine heads. And your turn? Yeah, Fletcher, you're up. Fletcher, make a death save.
No, no, it's too hard.
No, straight roll. Natural one.
Yeah,
You fail 2 death saving throws. You watch as your paladin is beginning to die out quite quickly. The attacks on it, you can see the poison that it dug deep into him almost begins to now pull out of him and bring even more blood with it. As the series of puncture wounds are just, it's not doing you over very well. It's the end of your turn, Fletcher. Thomas, you're up.
I'm gonna draw my rapier. And I'm gonna attack the big guy.
You take a shank at the big guy.
Take a shot.
Make an attack.
Yeah. Gonna hit the big guy. Big guy! 16.
16?
Yeah.
That is gonna hit now because they
Yes.
by 2.
And because he's currently engaged on Elton, I get sneak attack.
You did.
Yes! 7, so I get 12 damage plus 13, so 25.
25 points of damage. Your rapier is not magical, correct?
Huh?
Your rapier is not magical, correct?
No.
As you stab across it, you feel once again the jade blade kind of like shift, and you feel your rapier, the very tip of it kind of snaps slightly. You're like, oh, it takes decidedly less damage. Nonetheless, it is looking rough.
Okay, and then I would like to take another bonus action to disengage.
Okay, disengage, running away.
Yes.
Nice, that's the end of your turn. It is its turn.
I'm gonna run away with it.
It's no longer swallowing anything. Does it recharge its main hit? Nope, it's not recharging the big head. It is going to use Seeing Kenneth seems to be doing it decidedly more damage, it's going to use a flurry of bites against you.
Do it.
22 to hit.
Yeah, it is.
Come on. 24 points of damage. That's with the poison. So yeah, full half. Yeah, half down. Swell. Pain. Barbarians. That is the end of its art. It's also going to burrow. You watch as it disappears. You fall flat on your ass on the ground as it repositions itself. Here.
Leave it alone, man.
It's trying to get away from the barbarian. That is the end of its turn.
It's gonna roll
Kenneth,
over.
I'll rush towards us.
take two. I will remind you all that your paladin is currently done.
See, I'm the only one that
Alright, you're gonna take two leaps into this thing.
I'll reckless.
Reckless? Yes.
Down the snake.
Also, by the way, you all have healing potions, which are all set. Natural 20?
Natural 20.
Nice. Take a swing against
And
it.
does it have legs?
Oh, you're also the big guy. Yeah. So
Damn it, okay. Oh,
yeah,
This is big damage.
snake doesn't have Why not? Everything should have.
It's not a beat.
No, you don't.
I thought you got Is he a half-orc?
No, he's not.
I am half.
Wait.
He gets a critical dice.
Okay, yeah. So you add and then roll another d4.
No, they will be.
It is hanging on by a thread as it lifts its as it brings its head down towards you to take us to unleash all these bites. You just feel the rage fueling in your like your veins, and you take a swing as it's
Oh, okay.
one big swing.
No.
You have a second attack?
I would say.
Well, before you do that. And you cleave about three of its heads off as it comes down to try and bite you, and it recoils. Go ahead and give a second attack.
Oh, this just doesn't make it. So
Kill the big guy. Or don't.
26, that hits. I want to have you roll damage. How do you want to kill this thing?
Yes!
It has 3 health.
Still 9.
Yes.
so
Just cut all his head off.
yeah, I'll decapitate.
Okay.
And now
The remaining 5 heads on this thing, you watch as they each begin to come and attach at you, and with skill, speed, and precision that you wouldn't expect from somebody of your frame. Like, you cleave off one head, a second one comes down, you chop it into half, and a third one comes down, you split it straight down the middle. One by one, you just cut away at these heads until the largest one kind of attempts to breach through and swallow you before you just bring your axe straight through, splitting it entirely down the middle. The rest of the snake convulses and pushes further onto the axe as you just bury it about 3 feet into the snake's body. It spasms for a second and then falls. The smaller creature, seeing the first one fall, as that's the end of your turn, it's its turn, it's going to just flee into the forest. As it is just entirely disheartened by the loss of this thing.
Good job, boys.
As it's disheartened.
Okay, I'd like to loot it. Hey guys, snake. Same as acid, I want to collect it and poison my blade.
As the snake lies dead at your feet, you feel kind of this permeating heat of the jungle subside, more cooler air. And you know that you've saved this town.
Yes.
You know that whatever you've done here will have saved the town. In the hours that follow, you travel back through the bush with his
Flesh is dead.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, well look, on my turn I would have casted healing.
Yes, you would have. So you're alive.
Yeah.
Barely.
That was my plan.
Being pulled along the cart in the hours that happen afterwards, you slowly reappear towards the town. By the way, what you've seen is about half of the canopy is almost disappeared, and it becomes much easier to traverse the way back. As you approach the town at the other side, you're greeted by cheers of guards on the battlements as the canopy is suddenly less thick, they can see you approaching with the absolutely enormous carcass of the snake across your cart, as well as him, because he's barely alive, also on the cart. The gates open and you're greeted with thunderous applause, and that's where we're going to close the one show. Cheers.
You could have told me to mute it. Thanks.
One more.
Alright, nobody fall